going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video, and in today's video we're going to be talking about The Paper Tigers. So this movie gets its official release on May 7th, but I got to check it out just a little bit early, so a big thanks to the individual who sent me a screener link for this movie. I definitely really enjoyed this movie. I'll go ahead and start this off by saying that. I had a lot of fun with it. At first I wasn't sure if I was really going to like it. There was this lower budget feel to it. The director and writer is somebody that I'm not incredibly familiar with. I'll be completely honest, the three main stars of this film and the director, their names, I'm not 100% on how to pronounce them, so to avoid completely butchering their names here on camera, you guys can find the names to the director and the main three stars of this film right down below in the top of the description box, and I'll leave all the information on the movie in and of itself. But yeah, this movie centers on three old students of this Sifu for Kung Fu who are now reuniting in their middle-aged years after their Sifu has been killed. And so they end up reuniting after many years. There's some history there. We learn a little bit more about what's happened between where we see them at the beginning of the movie and where they are now as middle-aged men. And yeah, they go on this journey together to kind of rediscover each other, rekindle their friendship, while also trying to discover who the killer of their Sifu is. And overall, I found this to be a really entertaining time. Like I mentioned, when it first started, there is this lower budget feel to the film. There are things about it that I have criticisms about, but overall, I found it to be a really fun movie that was really entertaining and had great character development. One of the biggest negatives I'll have about this movie is, for me, this is a martial arts comedy film. You know, there are elements about it that are really funny, and then there are parts of it that have really great martial arts elements. And I feel like one part that just didn't work with all that for me was the cinematography. It's pretty standard. The film is competently shot, and there are some good shots in the film, don't get me wrong, but there were moments in the film where I was like, man, if they just had the camera moving a little bit more, if there were some cooler angles during some of these moments, I feel like we could get a lot cooler choreographed action sequences, because the choreography itself was pretty good. I really enjoyed it. I just felt like the cinematography could have, elevated the entire experience just a little bit more. But that's one of the only real negatives I have. Beyond that, there are some lines of dialogue and some performances here and there that are not amazing, but overall this film knows what it is. It's a comedy, but it also definitely tells a really serious and real story. I really enjoyed seeing the friendship of these three characters who, kind of have some history now. They're not the closest anymore, but being able to rekindle their friendship over the course of the film and kind of, rehome their skills in the Kung Fu world is really awesome. I thoroughly enjoyed this film. It was funny. It was different. The movie starts, and I didn't expect it to jump into the future where the movie really takes place, which is them in their middle-aged years. They're super badass at the beginning of the movie, and now, they're older guys. They're not really doing this all that much, and they're kind of called back into this world that they were, top dogs in at one point. And I really enjoyed the journey that these three friends went on. I really enjoyed their dialogue. There were so many funny moments throughout the course of this film. I didn't know really anything about this movie other than the fact that it was going to be a martial arts film. And not long into the film, I started laughing. And I was like, okay, this is pretty funny. And then later on, there were moments that genuinely made me laugh. And I was like, wow, this is a really funny movie, while also having a lot of heart and charm to the narrative at the center of the story. I don't want to get too deep into the spoilers. I've just kind of given you the basic premise. But overall, I found this to be an entertaining watch. I think if you're a fan of martial arts movies, you're a fan of comedies, this movie does a good job of blending the two. Sometimes there's a bit of a clash in tone with the fact that they are dealing with the death of somebody very important to them and their friendship that's kind of been shaken over the years. There is a more serious tone to this film at times, and some of the comedy at certain points in the film can be a little bit slapsticky, but overall I think it's handled really well, the balance of both comedy and martial arts and the more serious tone. I just found it to be an entertaining, good time. By the time the movie ended, my fiance and I looked over to each other and we're like, yeah, that was pretty good. So yeah, if you guys are interested in checking out The Paper Tigers, it comes out on May 7th. I do highly recommend it. I think it's a fun martial arts comedy film with some really great action sequences, some great choreography, and a lot of really great fun moments. And the movie, dips its toes in a little fantasy elements of Kung Fu, and I found that to be a pretty cool, fun thing. There's definitely elements about the story that are a little bit slow at times. There are elements about it that drag just a little bit. But what I do really enjoy about this film is that it does a really great job of developing its characters. That's a really big issue with a lot of films these days. They tend to kind of give you spectacle or give you the action, but sometimes the character development kind of, suffers because of that. And in this case, I think they did a really great job, even in some of these slower moments, in really building out who these characters are, who they were, their relationship, the things that we didn't see on screen, and really fleshing those things out. So by the time you get to the end, you genuinely really care about these three individuals who are, seeking out the killer of their Sifu. I would say the weakest element of this film for me on an overall narratively would have to be the villain. He just didn't play that huge of a role in the story. He's more of just a looming presence, and then by the time he appears, it's just not all that impactful for me, but it's really more about the three individuals who are chasing him down and their journey. And I think that part of the film, being the most important part, was definitely, handled very, very well. And another thing I want to mention, the last thing I'll mention, is that what I really love about this film is it does a great job of doing setups that do pay off at the end of the film. There's nothing worse than watching a movie that has tons of little setups or tee-ups for different storylines that don't really pay off by the end of the film. And for this film, I think they did a really good job of setting things up that you wouldn't even expect for them to pay off. There are things that show up early on in the film, whether it's lines of dialogue or just comedic moments or anything like that, that do get paid off later on in the film. And I think the movie did a really good job of taking everything that was written into the earlier part of the film, even small moments, and bringing it into the narrative and kind of making it important for the later half of the film. So I have to commend the writer and director for this film. It's the same guy. I think he did a great job. I'm not really familiar with his body of work. I looked on IMDb. I have not really checked out many of his films. I've never heard of any of them. So yeah, to see this guy really do a good job with this film, I hope his career continues to blossom. I think this is a really good movie, and I think you should check it out. So The Paper Tigers comes out on May 7th. Go check it out. For now, you guys can leave a comment down below. Did you like this video? Did you not like this video? Are you going to check this movie out? Are you into this kind of premise? Definitely hit that like button if you guys enjoyed the video. It helps the channel out. Subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.